Everyone's had skeletons in the closet, mate, that they think they've dealt with. And they're the things that are holding you back, mate. They're the things that are holding you from going forward. They'll come back, mate. You keep pushing them away.
Welcome to the Things You Can't Unhear podcast. I'm your host, Maritza Barone. In this show, I will introduce you to ideas, concepts, and mindsets that will open your mind to a new world of well-being and personal life growth. Through eye-opening interviews, we elevate people in the world doing amazing things for humanity and share insights that will shift you to become the happiest, healthiest, kindest, and most compassionate version of you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on Things You Can't Unhear. And I'm very glad you did today because we have a truly unique individual on the show. He's someone that once you meet, you simply never forget. The first time I ever heard him speak, I was completely captivated by his energy, and I know you will be too. Today, I introduce to the show the fear hunter, Mark Kluwer, who is going to share his story of living from the heart versus the head, allowing men to open up completely to show authenticity and emotion without judgment, and how we can be the masters of our own fear to take the driver's seat of our lives. Mark has been passionate about health and well-being his whole life, and one day decided last minute to attend a Wim Hof retreat back in 2016, which changed the trajectory of his life. The messages and lessons that were shared at that retreat were of strength, health, and happiness, and they lit an undimmable fire in Mark. And now he's on a mission to do the same for others. Hello, Mark.
Hey, that's bloody good, mate. Where'd you get that? Did you make that up, mate? Did you?
It's your story, not mine. I'm so excited to share your energy here today. Thank you for bringing it full pelt for us.
Bloody oath. Thank you for inviting me, mate.
Fully in, hey?
Yeah, bloody fully in. The Army's fully in, mate.
How's life been for you over the past few months? It's been tricky for a lot of us, I'm sure.
It has been trying, of course. Always sitting there and been hard actually. I think because our last session we had was on the 15th of March, and that's where I met you, and I haven't really done anything since. And it's been it's harder because you don't practice this stuff. It's because it just comes out. It has been times. There's been times where I think, what am I doing? And always questioning, and so yeah, it's been difficult, but it's like for everyone. It's just that's life, and I think it's about not sitting up there and always being in control, because that's not it either. We're not always sitting up there in control. Everyone's human, right? And we have these times where we need to just believe deep within in ourselves and get out that negative thought patterns, and believe that you are on the right path. I've been working up here. I had a building company for 25 years with my brother. I'm originally a plumber, and I've been working up here, and there are times where I thought, well, that 2 years or it's actually since 2016 how my life changed. Well, I'm working up here, and I've kind of gone back to pre-2016 because I've been working on the property up here on this retreat space we're building, and some of the old habits have come back in, mate.
Interesting, isn't it? Interesting.
And because I'm doing that all the time, and I've got to make sure that that's not me, and kind of check in and say, hang on a minute, that was my old self.
Yeah. Well, I want to take people on the journey from the beginning. So you mentioned just before we met at the Hello There event that focuses around mental well-being, and that was the very last day that we were allowed to attend events before COVID caused all the shutdowns and the cancellations of events all around the country and all over the world.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, when you walked on that stage the first time I met you, you had my full attention for a number of reasons. Because at the risk of generalizing, number one, you were the manliest of men I had ever seen before at these type of events, which are most commonly attended to by females.
Okay.
And two, because I feel so passionately about men being able to share their voices openly in this space. There's so many emotional expectations that society hold for men. Tell us what that means to you and how it affects you in your heart when you think about how men are sort of held back by what society expects.
I think I don't know if I'm going to answer this question properly. I think I'm going to give this a crack, mate, right? What's happened in life with men, and a good mate of mine, Trevor Hendy, or we were having after one event we did together, and Trevor Hendy's, we were laying on the beach, head in the sand, and we were just relaxing after the session. It was a workshop in Perth for a mining company. And he sat up, or he put his head up and he said, Mark, and Kane Johnson, my other mate, was there. We were running these things together, these men's retreats, yeah. And he said, I've got it. I said, yeah. He said, well, men have put all their chips on black. Right? They've put all their chips on black because this is how a man has to behave. And if he does this, so the chips are on black, and if he does this, he's going to work hard. He's going to go to the gym, going to do all these things. He's going to have all these trappings, and he's still going to be stoic. And if he does that, he will be successful and happy. It's not right, mate. It's not the case. It's not the case. Because I was there at that point, and I thought, when he said that, I went, fuck, and that was just another light bulb. When I look back now, and I look back on my life, and I'm joining the dots of, and I look back for my life as it's not as any regrets, but the dots of where I am sitting here now. And I see all that, and that's exactly what it was about. You put all the chips on black, you're going to be happy, and men, the part of that is for men to, and the stoic side, yes, we've got to be stoic, we've got to be both, but there are times, in business where you can't, tear up in a meeting or on site with the boys, you've got to get this right as a leader, but then there are times where we need to open the heart. We need to open the heart and show them how we feel, because when you do that, when you open up, you then give permission for others to feel the same, and that's when you're as a group together, and men and women, when you're grouped together and you're truly vulnerable. I know that word's been used a lot, but when you're truly vulnerable, that's when you actually connect, mate. And that's when true connection happens.
Oh, I hear you. I can imagine on the construction industry, this doesn't tend to happen very often, does it?
No. As I said, it's all this kind of bravado shit. So, excuse me, I might swear a bit, but all this bravado stuff that happens, that they don't want to let them, they don't want to come and ask. They just go ahead and do it. They don't think. There's all this kind of stuff that these false layers that have been put on, because to be honest with you, also on a building site, it's such a wide range of people on a building site. You've got people that can't read or write, or they struggle with that. That's fine. You have people that have had a university degree that no more. You've got this whole wide range of these people that there are, which you can learn. You'll learn bits and pieces off every person. But what we need to do is be able to show who we truly are inside.
What happens when you do that, Mark? What happens when you are the first one to show that openness to that group, from your experience?
What happens? Oh, it's like you step in this point, and it's like open the door, mate, and then all of a sudden you have another fellow wants to talk to you. But for years I've had this thing where I'm standing on the site, and I've spoken to this bloke for, for 5 or 10 minutes, and he starts telling me about his life and what's going on. And not he's not upset, but it's just a conversation have, or at a gym or whatever. And I've always thought that there's something there that I love connecting with people. It's excitement. It's getting excitement back, because the thing is, once we do this and we let go, there's this weight that lifts off you, mate. You know what I mean? Because see, and there's people walking around, they're not excited. We have to be excited, mate, about life, right? And be enthusiastic, but there's something that's holding us back.
Mm.
And it's like like a parachute. It's on, cut the fucking cord and go, mate.
There's that masculine energy that is so strong. Do you think that men need to bring in more of that feminine energy into their lives to find more happiness and peace and clarity?
Yes, but look, for sure. I mean, there's got to be, there's got to be masculine and feminine energy. I mean, the feminine side, we need the feminine side, mate, because it gives us balance. Like, it's so important, because look at the masculine, too masculine. You get blokes like Donald Trump, mate.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to have balance. You've got to have balance in life. So, and there are days where, as I said, it's not always beautiful every day. Yeah, but if you can kind of you have the chance to tell your mates you love them, mate. That's what you have to do. Give them a hug, mate. And let it, like, I had a session up here in late Feb. I had 30 blokes here locally around the area, up in Castlemaine and Dalesford. We had 30, and we did the session that you were saying that what you're a part of, and like after it, there's some tough, like, farmers, like, they're tough blokes, and they were just letting go. And what was beautiful? We had these younger blokes there, younger fellas there that were early 20s, 24, 25, and then we had the older. There was this generation there, and they were letting go, and they were just telling about the pressures they've felt, and it was beautiful, mate. And the connection after it, like,
A lot of us, most of us, have these repressed stories, experiences, feelings that we don't bring to the surface. And it's bloody powerful when you do. I mean, it hurts like hell when you bring them up, but once you're through it, isn't it just coming out the other end like never before?
Yeah, it is. It's like, and
gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, well, see, in 2016, when I attended that Wim Hof retreat, I was speaking to another friend the other day, and I said that we're leaving Melbourne as a group from Fifth Element Wellness, and Dave O'Brien was with me, on that day.
Yeah.
We met, yeah. And we're all going down together. There was about 4 of us, and there was an instructor staying behind, and I walked past him, and he said to me, well, we both kind of looked at each other. He said, I think something's going to happen, Mark. That's what he said to me. And I said, yeah, I feel it too, Ant. That's why I'm nervous. I don't want to go. I don't need to change, mate. What do I want to fucking go for? And I was nervous. So, and then we arrived there, and Wim turned up, and you said it earlier in the introduction, and he said, strength, happiness, and health. The rest is bullshit. And when he said that, it was like, yes, it really lit a fire deep within that I'd never felt anything like that. It was like, and so I was all in then, because before then I was kind of, I've never done anything like this before. And I felt, as I said, I was really uncomfortable about being uncomfortable. And you want to be uncomfortable, and you want to get comfortable about being uncomfortable if you can.
Way out of your comfort zone.
Oh yeah, mate. And there's and there was a lot of athletes there, and there's a lot of, I was, there's a few people older than me, but it was predominantly they were younger, probably in their 30s, probably 30s to 40s, and then there was a few of us, young 50-year-olds, mate, and then there was a couple of older couples. But I remember on that we sat down after the next morning to start. We were sitting up and he was explaining the technique and we're talking about it. And then he laid us down. We just started the breathing and just kept breathing out, in through the nose, fully in and let go. And just surrender and just keep breathing. And it took a while, 10, 15 minutes for me not to be affected by who was around, what's going on here, and then I just truly surrendered. And then I had these waves of emotion come up. And it was just like, and I thought, when he said that earlier on the night before, about strength, health and happiness, I thought, that's it. And I came back to that. I thought, I'm just going to give this 100%, mate. And I just lent into it, and lent into the uncomfortableness and just kept breathing. And then this tide of emotion came up through me, and I thought, what? Because I didn't, everyone's had skeletons in the closet, mate, that they think they've dealt with, and they're the things that are holding you back, mate. They're the things that are holding you from going forward. They'll come back, mate. You keep pushing them away, and all this came out, and it was just this big, and then I was out, and mate, for 6 days or 5 days. I was a mess, mate. And I remember this beautiful Dutch woman and her husband. Now, and my father's Dutch also, and I felt there's a connection there. But I remember she saw me, and I was slumped, laying down like this, and she came up behind and just held me because I had nothing left, mate, and it was just all pouring out. And I was worn out. I was buggered. But there was after that 5 days, there was such a feeling of peace inside. It was I just felt, this is it, mate. And then it changed my life. And all these people in there, they embraced. And and this is the thing, because with men think that they're going to show their emotion, they're regarded as weak. No, because there's people there that you need to help them, because once it gives it, like I said earlier, it gives permission then to let go also. And they truly know, and they come up, and it's this true connection. And this is the thing: if you think you're going to lose look, if your mates are going to go because you're telling them you love them, well, they're not your mate. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
And the connections I've made around Australia after this, it's phenomenal. And it's 4 years ago, they've become my closest friends. Mm. It's just.
I'm listening to you, and I know exactly how you felt because you did that to me at this Hello There event, and you got on stage and you started with this breathing and this visualization. And do you remember what happened to me? I don't know if you remember, but I was an absolute blubbering mess. I was crying like a newborn baby, uncontrollably, in a room full of 60, 70 people, had no qualms about it at all. I just was out of my body, out of control, crying, and I was not expecting it. I was not prepared for it. I was emotionally, physically, mentally drained, probably for a good few days afterwards.
It happens. Yeah, the drain.
Yeah, but there was definitely a frigging massive release of energy and stored emotions. And I don't know how you did it. I don't know what you did, but you supported me and so beautifully afterwards. And the community there that day was so beautiful and powerful, and connected that it got us through those feelings. And yeah, if I had have known that was going to happen, I probably wouldn't have turned up, because
that's right. That's what happens.
I would have been scared. I would have been absolutely petrified. But I can completely resonate with your story, because I saw firsthand how it had affected me personally. What was your life like in the lead up to attending this event, this retreat that changed your life? Were you very unhappy? Did you know how you felt? Were you just questioning life a bit?
Yeah, I was uninspired, Maritza. Like, as I said, I had the chips on black, mate, right? They're there, and I'm a building company. I'm uninspired, training at the gym and not feeling, just doing.
Reacting.
You know? Yeah, just reacting, mate. And then, and like, even with work, I was just going through the motions, and like, I remember on a Sunday afternoon, I'd think, I've got to go to work the next, and I was the director of the company, the owner of the company, my brother, but I just didn't. It had gone, it had left, but there was a shell there, really. And this is what happens. Men just think they have to keep doing this, that there is nothing else. There is. And so that was for me, I was happily married with my wife and my daughters. Like, that's always been, great. But I wouldn't show emotion as much as I think I still had something there before, but
you'd probably closed it off.
Yeah, closed it off, mate. Exactly. Closed it off, got to be stoic, all this kind of stuff. And so I was uninspired, just going through the motions. And then I had the opportunity at the last minute, said, to go to this event. And that was the calling on, and it's hard. This is what I try to explain to blokes. I want them to just come to a session and just do some breathing, because what happens, men inside, and there's a great book by Steve Bidoof, The New Manhood, and it talks about men, and a lot of them, any of the issues they bring up, it's the relationship they've had with their fathers, and they're like scared. And I'm not being derogatory, okay, but they're like scared. They're scared inside. They're men, but they're scared inside that they don't want to change. They don't, and so I'm trying to show them that they can come and feel safe. We have a joke. We'll hug, and I'll say, "Yeah, right. You've had your hug, mate," or whatever, or some. But that, like. Because even us talking like this now, it's going to scare blokes off, mate. I'm telling you, right? Not all of them, but it will. So, it's slow. It's got to be slowly. You come in and you have a talk, and if they can just sit down and talk with you, they mightn't have a release when they have the breathing the first time, because they're holding back on stuff. But it needs to take, a number. It might take 3 or 4 times. It's when you're ready. And I was ready. You were ready, Maritza. But it's just getting them in the space so they can feel something different than what they've been doing, that they going to the pub or whatever with the boys. Tell the boys, let's go and have a breathing session. How good would that be? And jump in the ice bath or whatever, or talk, because that's where it's a connection point that makes us stronger. And together, when we're together, that's when there's power. Unity, mate.
I friggin' love talking to you. I've got so many questions. I want to know what happened after that retreat. What happened when you left and you came back home?
Okay.
You were feeling uninspired before you went. You got there. You had this massive awakening. And then what happened when you came back home? Because things started to change, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I remember driving back home, and he's a good young bloke, was in my car, and I had my Ray-Bans on, driving home, not to look cool, but because I was tearing. And I wasn't, he saw me cry all weekend, but it was just this kind of thing. I thought I did, and I got home and I walked in the door and I sat down on the dining table and it was just pouring out. And Julie, my wife, was there, and she didn't know what happened. And I remember Julie rang up my brother, who's my business partner at the time, and she said, something's happened to Mark. Something's happened, and he said, oh, look, he'll be right. I've been on these kind of things before. He'll be right after a couple of weeks. Well, I wasn't, mate. And there was just this, and it was great. My brother was really supportive. Paul was really supportive, and he said, you just got to watch it now because you're totally open. Like you're open. You've opened right up, mate. And it's like you still need to, because you come back, because as we know, when you come back into society, when you're weighing a cocoon like that, is that you come back and people are going to want to put you, because they're not feeling happy or they're having trouble, they don't want to see you happy. And it's just the way life is, and so it's not all people, right? But he said you just got to watch that, and so
a lot of people feel uncomfortable with it too.
Yeah, exactly, because it's like it's mirroring them. Usually, what happens when you have a problem with someone, it's always because you can see the issue that you've got, and it's mirroring you, So I came back but I tell you what, mate, right? I've just got to segue a bit, go back. On the Saturday, I said to a mate of mine, Geordie, I'm gonna open a retreat space, mate. That's what hit me. After all that shit had gone, that's what I wanted to do. And that got me that excited. And has been always what we wanted to do, what I wanted to do, and it came and so I had this, and I said, Julie, and after all the tears, I said, Julie, I know what I've got to do, mate. I have to keep doing this, and so so what happened? The weeks just after, it was I had a lot of contact with the people that went to the retreat. It was great. So I had never been on Facebook or Instagram or anything, mate. It was just all new, But I needed to keep connection because we had this community. I felt that I wanted to keep in connection with, and so that kept coming up, and then I went back working and doing that. But I was quite excited. I was happy. Because I'd found something, and I just knew I had to just keep working for the moment until we found something, and then. But I did put my family through grief, of course, because then what I was doing? I was having these ice bars at our place. So all of a sudden I said, Julie's a ripper, mate. So 30 people are coming over for an ice bath.
Julie's a legend.
Yeah, Julie's a legend, mate. No, she's gone. But anyway, and I said, we're going to have 20 to 30 people over having an ice bath. And we had a spa out the front of the driveway, hired a spa, and we had this big meal after it. Breathing was bloody great. And so it really, that's what started, and it was like getting this thing to keep, happening. And then I said because for years we wanted to sell our house, and the fear was, there was fear there about the what ifs, and we had it on the market a couple of years earlier, and then and the fear took over and we took it off, bang. But this final time, like after going there, and then we had a men's group every Thursday. Great it was, we would talk. There's probably 8 of us, sometimes 10, and we just used to help each other out. It was great, just talking about stuff. And then the fella said one night, "What's the worst that can happen, Mark? What's the worst?" And I decided, fuck it, I'm going to do this. We're going to sell, and so we, after 25 years, Julie and I built the house, and we've got the memories in the house with the kids growing up and their friends and all that kind of thing. And we sold the house. and and that was. And I remember the last day, like when we've moved out, and we were just moving around the corner, renting just around the corner, and I think earlier on I had trouble accepting we were leaving, and that's why it had trouble selling, because it was a time where the market was at a good time, but the price level they wanted, it was passed in, and it was like I hadn't accepted that I was ready to move. That was that last thing. And I remember the day that we had everything moved out, and then the new owners were coming. We're going to give them the keys, but that morning I went through every room, and I could hear my daughters like talking to their friends when they're little, and playing in each room, and I let go, and it was just so,
Yeah.
And then what happened? Just a couple of weeks before we were settling, this block of land came available, mate, up in Hepburn Springs. And it's like 90 acres, and it was huge. We weren't looking at anything that size, but we wanted to move out of Melbourne because I needed to build this retreat space, and I didn't know what it was. So it came up, and Julie, wasn't at that time, because we just moved. We've sold our house after 25 years, and Julie wasn't ready. Men are different, obviously, as well. And I was ready. I said, "I have to do this, mate." And so she's strong. Talk about strong women, mate. She's been beside me. If we go to war, she'd be beside me throwing rocks, mate.
Amazing.
And we found this plate acreage, and she wasn't. Said she wasn't keen on it because it was all too much happening, unsettling. Anyway, I gave her an out clause. I said, if you don't, in 2 years, before we build the house, if you don't like it, we'll get rid of it. Anyway, that was hard for those years, because I couldn't, when we bought it, I couldn't talk to Julie about the block because there was too much anxiety there for her, and there's all that.
Understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Upheaval and stuff, and so it was a bit of a journey. I'd come up here. I was still running MCon building company, and then I just decided. My good mate of mine said, "Mark, you need to run a building company. There's too much in your head going on. Just pull that back a bit." So I said to Paul, "I'm going to leave now," and I left MCon and just focused on doing smaller jobs, just plumbing, small stuff, and obviously we retreats or breathing sessions and touring around Australia in a caravan called the Chill Seekers. So we toured right up the east coast of Australia, and we finished up in the Northern Territory, ice bars on the way. Little caravans. We slept in this little caravan, me and my mate Zane. Yeah, but sorry, I might have gone off track a bit there, but basically there was this thing about me wanting to build this retreat space. So anyway, now we're in it. We're up here, and it's happening. And
how big's the property?
It's 90 acres.
Whoa!
And we're
plenty of retreat space there.
Yeah, that's right, mate. Off grid, which is great. And that was been hard, living in the middle of the city and having all these beautiful comforts. And now we're in nature. We're on solar. We've got a composting toilet working, and it's still all working away. It's been hard, but I love just being out in nature, and it's beautiful.
Do you feel on purpose?
Yes.
Completely?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do, and I feel it's exciting, but also there are times when I think, I'd walk out, what am I doing? Like there's always a question. See, there's always this thing about self-doubt in us.
Is that fear?
Yes. It's fear, mate. It's fear. And fear, fear's like a good thing. We need fear. Like, it's not a bad thing. It's just, we need to stand and look at it and say, okay, I am fearful here, and that's okay. But let's see what it feels like to just push a little bit and push and make your comfort circle larger because you put your toe in and just give it a go.
So that's why they call you the fear hunter, hey?
Yeah. But see, the thing is, and people in life, when they're, it's like the doors keep coming open. There are always doorways. You either step in them or you don't. And the fear can hold you back from opening that door and having a look. But when the door opens, mate, you put your foot in and your knee, and then you push it in and you lean in and you see where it goes.
You know what I remember you saying when you spoke that day at that event that I saw you at for the first time. And I walk around the house saying it to myself sometimes when I feel I need a push. You're like, fuck fear.
That's it, mate. That's right. That's right. It's there. See, it's there. It's fine. Okay. But look at it, stand it, and look at it in the face and say, yep, I'm going to give this a go. And there's all this kind of feeling. It's like that's why that's why the ice bath's so good, mate. Because see, the ice bath's a metaphor for life, mate. Life's an ice bath, and if you can get in an ice bath, which it's times I've got the freezer there. I think, do I have to jump in? And when you get in, there's the contentment that comes through you. And if you're going to have something that comes up during the day, you've been able to sit in an ice bath, right? And then you get a comparison. Well, if I can do that, especially for young ones, if I've done that, the person give me a hard time at school or uni, or becomes nothing. These things become nothing because there's a yardstick there, mate, and it's a yardstick for life.
It's pushing through that barrier of pain, isn't it? It
is. It's pushing through the barrier, and you know that. Look, you can either not test yourself and that's fine if you. But will you be happy, mate? At the end, will you be happy? Like there's a door open, and we had these doors open, and I look back now, and I couldn't ignore the things that were these stories that have come through that were happening on the way. Like this block of land that we bought. I found out that my good mate, his mate was my next door neighbour. Like all these things out of the blue have happened, and you've got to sit back. And if that ever happens to you, you need to sit back. And before you say no, I'm not going because you don't want to, because you feel that I don't know what's going to be around that corner, sit back and just say, hang on a minute, and weigh it up. Why is this happening?
I've noticed you get emotional throughout this interview quite a bit. What are those emotions right now that you're feeling?
Oh well, I look back because I go back into the feeling of what it was like. I can go back and think that's what it really felt like, and then I'm revisiting, mate. Revisiting that feeling that I had inside, mate.
When you decided it was time to pull back from that construction company that you built,
yeah,
were you afraid? Were you uncertain whether that was going to be the right choice? Because there's so many people who are probably sitting in that position right now, and they're 20, 30 years deep into an industry and know nothing else but have no passion left for it. And I really want to really ignite something in people who are listening, who perhaps are in that frame of mind, to hear something in you and know that they can do it too. It's going to be okay.
Yes. And I think you have to believe in yourself, mate. If there's no fire there, the fire's gone out, mate. You've got to relight it. And you need to just have a look on what's making you happy. On the main thing is you be yourself. I think you've got to sit there. If you're starting to feel like this, meditation is really important, of course, but you need to be able to sit there and just work out what's making you truly happy. What is it that making you happy? Is it making you happy that you've got to compare yourself to what success is? What is success? Is it having all these things? I feel success is in here and what you feel inside. And if you're truly happy inside, that is true success. That is true success. Because it's not about the fucking Porsche, mate. It's what you feel in here. And so that's what I would say. I would people to take a time out. And it's not going to happen. It mightn't happen straight away. They start thinking about it. Like start and going into nature, into a quiet space, and just feel. It's a hard Maritza, because it just comes like, because I'm one to just act from the heart, and I think that's one thing that's important. I'm going to go back now to that quick, because this is the answer is right. Is you get out of the head and into the heart. There's too much time in here. There is far too much. Oh, no, we need this incoherence. So, what does your heart say? What truly do you want to do inside? What does the heart say, mate? And then, if you've been ahead, always in the head, give this, because that'll be hard. Just go from there and do little steps, you know. Like I said, that time was a door open for me, and it was like I could have easily not gone because I was uncomfortable about it, you know, and I stepped through the door. And I think that there's going to be times, if people are ready and they're thinking about this, step through the door, mate.
How important do you think it is to have supportive people and the right people around you to take you through?
Huge. Because see, I've been studying also, and that's what I want to bring into our space here is the rite of passage, you know, which I studied at the Rites of Passage Institute, and that's a really important part of it. I think that I've gone through a rite of passage, you know, with what we've done here, and I always believed a rite of passage was only like when the young one, like whether male or female, go from from childhood to manhood or girlhood to womanhood. Is that right? Yeah. And it's all through our life. It's all through our life. And see, we've got this a social structure like a staircase, and there are times when we need to move up the stair, and we're not, because we're stuck. We're stuck there, and what it does, it creates a problem below in the community for other ones to move through. And I feel that the rites of passage is something I went through again through my life, okay, and that's really important. I mean, that's another big thing to talk about, you know. But when you are uncomfortable, there's a time, you know, through our life that you get caught. That's where there's agitation there, and that's when people can lose it, and they just nonplussed about everything, you know. And what I've learned, as said, by that rite of passage, is that you need to work through that and go to the next stage. It's like it's the same as opening the door, you know, and seeing what's there, and it's facilitated in a safe space, and that's so important.
And there you'll find the right people to surround yourself with.
Exactly, the right community. Exactly. So I probably didn't even answer your question there. I went on a tangent as usual, but that's what it's about. It's about surrounding yourself with like-minded people. And the reason I brought that up is because I've learned is that I went through a rite of passage on that retreat, and it was really important that when I came back, I had my community was Fifth Element Wellness, you know, and that community supported me through that rite of passage, right? They supported me through that rite of passage, and that's what needs to happen. And if it doesn't happen, and I didn't even know this was going on, mind you, I only worked this out later on when I went after I studied at this institute, is that that's what the process was, and it just it happened. And so getting with the right people, because when you go through a change, you've got to make sure you're with the right people, because that, like my brother said earlier also, is that they can steal your power and they keep hitting you bang, 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 and then you go back into that state, and it can be worse because you haven't moved through, yeah? Like if you truly want something, you have to believe in yourself that that's what you deserve and go for it.
For people who are listening today and who have really resonated with you, it doesn't have to be men, it can be women as well. I mean, I know you're working towards getting this retreat space open and ready once these restrictions are lifted and life resumes as normal. But you're a very relatable person and are different to a lot of other people in this space. Can they connect with you directly? Can you be their support person?
Yes, cool. We all can. I mean, that's what we're trying. We're trying to build that. It's that community, Maritza. So we can be there for each other. And that's what excites me, because the exciting part is true connection with us all. That's what excites me.
Deep connection.
Yes, mate. Bloody oath.
I don't want to talk about the weather anymore.
No. There's no such thing as good or bad weather. It's all good, mate. It's all good.
You said that as soon as we got on. You said, we need the rain. This is great.
Yeah, bloody oath. So
amazing.
We're going to up at Elevated Springs here. We're going to run some day sessions for people, and obviously there'll be Saturday and a Sunday, and we'll be doing some corporate stuff. But at the moment we're starting up again. That's why I want people here to eat. Listen to this one, catchphrase: eat, breathe, connect. Bloody beautiful, mate.
When we first jumped on this call, Mark, you did say you had fallen into some old habits over this time.
Yes. And
I just want to take this opportunity for you to use this interview as a reminder to jump back into all the shit that you've just been talking about and do the stuff that lights you up. Because if you've given me so much in this interview, if that's one thing that I can remind you of as we leave ways and part ways today, go back into it. You're going to make me cry now too. You always make me cry. Jump back into it.
Oh no, and pretty hard. Because the question is, and I suppose because and look, this is the thing, the isolation stuff, it's hard for everyone. Like we're all going to, and that's what we need to do. We need to get together. Don't listen to the news. We don't need all that. That's all, really, it's a scare, the fear. See, they're plugging into our fear. We fuck fear when we get to, yeah, exactly. And we've got to get together. And that's what's so important, because we are community. That's what we're community beings. We're not together in isolation. So we need to keep together with each other and support one another, and we'll get through this.
I'm Maritza Barone. Thank you for listening to the Things You Can't Unhear podcast. I'd love to keep the conversation going. Let us know what you thought of this episode, and if something really profound came up for you that you want to share, let's talk about it. You can find me on Instagram at Things You Can't Unhear, or on my personal page at Maritza_Barone. And if someone you know will benefit from something that was said in this show, make sure you share it with them too. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and keep up to date with what's next. And if you can spare a few seconds, please rate and review the show on iTunes, just so other people can find us more easily and quickly. And as always, my friends, be happy, be healthy, be conscious, and be kind.